All right, this is my buddy Goldie. And Goldie likes to jump up on guests who visit. And so in this video, I'm going to share the secret way of teaching your dog to not jump up on your guests. Now, before we get to that, a couple things. We're going to let Goldie, she's just excited, some of her favorite people just arrived. So we're going to let her kind of calm herself down. And that's a good tip. When you're going to be practicing these sort of exercises, if your dog is full of their energy, it's going to be harder for them to focus and concentrate on it. So take your dog out for like a 10-minute sniff walk, bring him home, let him have 10 minutes to relax, then practice the exercises I'm about to show you. Play fetch, tug of war, whatever it is you want to do for your dog, but give them about 10 minutes to rest afterwards so they can kind of calm themselves down. Now, first of all, before we get into how to fix it, I want to talk a little bit about some of the common mistakes people have. My dog is so naughty, it jumps up on everybody, knocks everybody down. Well, that's really, dog is not doing it to be naughty. Most of the times when dogs jump up, they're trying to do it in a positive affirmation sort of way. Dogs like to lick the faces of people they want to apologize to or their friends. And so as humans, we're a lot taller than dogs. So when we come home and the dog's jumping up, they're trying to reach our face to lick us and give us a kiss, essentially. Think about it, that's a positive thing. But we get mad and we say, well, you shouldn't be doing that. Then my question to my client is, what have you taught your dog to do in that situation? We do not like our dogs peeing and pooping in our house. That's important to us, so we condition and teach and train them to pee outside. Your dog not jumping up on people is the same thing as not wanting to have your dog potty out inside. If you don't teach them, they're not going to ever do it. So it's important you're going to teach your dog what you want them to do as opposed to punishing them or getting upset for them doing anything you don't want. Now, a lot of people will push the dog down, walk, yell at their dog. The problem with this is all attention for your dog is rewarding. So your dog jumps up, you turn your back, your dog got a little attention. You don't do that, got a little attention. Stop that. I'm saying no, and the dog stopped doing it. It worked. People will tell me this for years, and I ask them, but does it really work? Because does the dog stop doing it permanently? No, you're stopping them from doing it now, but later on they remember, when I jumped up on somebody, I got attention. So I'm going to jump on people to get attention. Also, when we change, somebody new comes to our house, little kids are excited. Somebody new just came in here, we're excited. Now, the other problem with dogs and excitement is something called anthropomorphization, which is the projection of human emotion. She is so smart. I'm going to talk about that in a sec. Anthropomorphization is projection of human emotions onto dogs. When dogs are overly, they can't sweat. When they want to cool themselves down, they open their mouth to breathe and let liquid evaporate off their tongue that's how they cool themselves down. We perceive that as a smile. So when dogs are opening their mouth, they're usually doing it because they're overexcited or they're excited and they're trying to breathe heavy. We see a smile and then we get them more and more jacked up. Oh, look how excited Goldie is for a walk. You want to go for a walk? You want to go walk? We get her all bouncing off the walls. And then we wonder why our dog can't listen on a walk. I was telling her, I have a friend, if I wanted to go visit and it was close to the kids' bedtime, the kids are kind of quiet. It was not close to their bedtime, but they're quiet. They're going to put her in bed early. He said, no, I don't want you to come by. I want you to come by another day. Because they were ready to go to bed. If I would have shown up, I would have created a crescendo of excitement. So exercising dogs first, like I talked about earlier, can set dogs up for success. Now, the 4 stages of doing this is something I normally do in 4 in-home sessions, but in this video, I'm going to try to teach them all in one for our client here today. So the first step is we want to teach the dog to go to the dog bed. The second step is we're going to teach the dog to stay. The third step is we're going to teach the dog to stay on the dog bed as we walk to the door. And the fourth step is we're going to teach the dog to stay on the dog bed as we walk to the door and open the door. And for all of these things, there's no actual guest coming in. Until we've completed all these individual pieces, we don't want to practice that because that's too many elements. Now, as we're going to talk about when I teach the stay, we like to break things down into one individual element and teach one thing at a time at an easy level. When the dog can do it well, then we add it a little bit layer of difficulty. When it comes to dogs, we often try to teach them the whole enchilada in the moment, like learning to drive your car on the 405 freeway. That's the worst place to learn to drive your car. Goldie, come. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is teach your dog to go to the dog bed. Now, I was laughing because Goldie went here earlier. We were practicing this. This is the second attempt of the video. We had some people came in, and so we're reshooting. But basically, I already taught her to go to a different dog bed. It was a different one than this. It was an actual dog bed. It was too small. She just started picking up and going there on her own. She's a smart dog. So the way that I like to do this is you need a cue, and the cue always needs to come before the action. Now, we're going to call this one Cabo. So the way that I usually teach this, and I kind of flubbed the first time we filmed it, so it's kind of better, is I say Cabo first, then I toss the treat, and I say yes when she steps on the dog bed. Yes. She sat down in the dog bed. If she were to lay down in the dog bed, I say yes. Anything she does to interact with the dog bed, I like. I'm going to reward. Now, the first way that we do this is I usually do it by tossing the treat on the dog bed. Again, I'm going to say Cabo. Yes, when she steps on, to let her know that's what I want. We're using a marker word. If you don't know what a marker word is, you haven't assigned one, make sure you introduce, load, and practice using that first. Now, the other way we can do it is we can lure her onto it, just like this. Cabo. Yes. I prefer using the treat, although the first bed I was doing, it was too small, she was bouncing off. So we're marking when she steps on the dog bed. And the first step...
Dad, hey!
The first step is we're going to say Cabo and toss it on there. And yes, when she steps on it. After a while, what we would want to do is, and she's a smarty pants, so we can already go to this stage, but normally we wouldn't go this way, right? We'd say Cabo, yes, and then I'm going to give her the treat afterwards. This is an important flip, because we don't want to always throw treats on the dog bed. We're just doing that as a bridge to begin things. So we want to get to the point where we can eventually say Cabo, and she goes and steps on it. We say yes, and then go over to retreat. And if we need to, Cabo, lure over here and hold it up or tell her to sit. When she sits, and we say yes and give her the treat. I like to have her sit or lie down. That's a little bit more incompatible with running towards the door. And I would like to have you practice sending the dog bed from here, from here, from here, from here, from all sorts of different angles. But mostly from where the camera is. But about 8 feet behind the camera is the front door. And so that's where, when people ring the doorbell, everybody goes to the door. And if she's right at the door, she's as close to the excitement as possible. That makes it really hard for her to control herself. I like to have the dog bed about 12 to 15 feet away, yes, within a line of sight of the dog bed, of the door. So she can see it. She can't see it like Alfred Hitchcock movies. It makes it worse, yes. So again, smart dog. I haven't taught her to sit down on there, but she's learning if I sit down, I get another treat. All right, so the first stage is teaching your dog to go to the dog bed. So I would like you to get to the point where you could go to your door where there's nobody there and turn around to her and say Cabo, and she runs all the way over here and sits down. Then you walk up behind her, say yes, and give her a treat. Don't go to the stage 2. Well, I guess technically you start practicing stage 2, but you don't start putting them together until you can accomplish that. A verbal cue of Cabo or whatever the name of the dog bed, and she goes there. The second stage, we're going to teach her to stay. Teaching the stay is actually, there's 3 Ds for stay. Stay for duration, stay for distance, stay for distraction. Most of us try to teach all 3 of them at once, and we usually do it like this. We're like, stay, stay, stay. That's not a stay. A cue should be said once and only once. So what I'm going to do, when we're teaching stay, there's actually a cycle of stay. There's 4 components to it, and I'm going to show you the 4 steps right here. The steps need to be right on top of each other, but separate. Yeah, sloppy fingers by David. Right.
She got a freebie.
Yes. All right, so we want these stages together, right on top of each other, but separate. So first one is I say stay, halfway between me and her, pull my arm back, then I offer 1 distraction, I call it chicken wing, finish the chicken wing, then I say yes, then I give her the treat. That ends the cycle. So let me count out the start and stop of the cycle. So stay, I started the cycle, yes, treat. Stay, yes, treat. Now, when we're done, we need to let her know we're done. So we're going to say off duty and throw the treat about 1 foot away so she has to get up. You can use whatever words you want for that. Don't use the word okay, though. Now, stay is difficult for dogs because it's one of the few, it's the only cue where we're asking them to not do anything. Everything else is go get the ball, fetch, roll over, sit, lay down. What do you want from me? So some dogs will start offering you different behaviors because they want the treat. They don't understand. That's why I do stay for distractions and duration first, because it's easiest. I'm not moving away. Stay for distance is the hardest one. Sit. All right, now when we're doing this, we want to also break eye contact. And we're going to go through cycles. So when I usually do this, I'm going to do 4 cycles for you in a release. And I'm tearing these treats in half. When you're using treats, you want to use the smallest treat you can get away with that'll be motivated for your dog. And so it's LA. We got to have a good figure, so we're going to go ahead and cut these in half. All right, so I'm going to say stay, yes, stay, yes, stay, yes, 1 more, stay, yes, then off duty. All right, now we also want to break eye contact. Now we're just doing 1 distractions, it's okay. But when we get up to about 5 or more distractions, that's when I want to start breaking eye contact. Cabo, yes. So now I'll go ahead and show you here a couple of, and if yes, sitting or laying down is fine. Whatever she prefers to do is what I would go with. All right, so I'm going to say stay. Yes. So I'm breaking eye contact when you get up to about 5 or more. Now I'm doing this, I always keep it so I'd say stay, 1 distraction, yes, treat. And all of them would be 1 distractions. When she's good at that, then I would say stay, 1, 2, yes, treat. Stay, 1, 2, yes, treat. I'm only counting for you. You don't have to count when you're practicing with your dog. All right. Now, when we're practicing stay, we want what we call an 100% success. We don't want what's called an auto release, her getting up and wandering around on her own. So we just were filming this video. Mom and Dad came home. We stopped the video because it would have been disruptive. But if we're in the middle of practicing this and somebody's about to come to the door or deliver or someone's going to distract her, do the off duty and you be the one to release her rather than her running away. All right. So now when we actually do stay for distance, it's the hardest one. Now, I usually don't start moving away from my dog until I can do 15 distractions. And that brings me to my next point. You're going to kind of look goofy. I had one instructor who would say, stay. He looked like he was dancing. I do not move my feet at all. Any movement of my feet makes the dog think we're going to be gone, and it's going to cause the dog to get up.
Upper body.
Upper body only, yes. And
yeah.
You can do a shimmy or a twist your waist, just don't move your feet. So I want to get to the point where I can do 15. Again, at some point I should be breaking eye contact, but that's a lot of shimmying. We can't do it right now because we're using my phone to record it, but we look at our phones all day long. So we can say stay, pull out my phone, look at 1 distraction, 2 distraction, 3 distraction, 4 distraction, 5 distraction, 6 distraction. Yes, treat. So you can also use this when you're doing everyday things. If she follows you around the house, let's say we go to the kitchen, sit, stay, grab a glass, fill it up, put it on the counter, yes, give her a treat, or a pet if you don't happen to have one. But you want to start utilizing it in other parts of the house as well, because it's just a good skill to have. For this purpose, for teaching a dog not to jump the door, we want to do it right here. Now, I'd also like to practice sending her from the dog door, I forget on the first stage, from there, from here, from all sorts of different directions, but primarily from the door. I can't remember if I said that in this video or the previous one. All right, so now when I want to start doing just a stay for distractions, or a stay for distance, there we go. If I go stay and I take a step back, a lot of dogs will come to me right away. Now, sometimes we also go like this. We say stay, and then we move in a really weird way, which we normally don't do. So don't do that. Just be very casual. So stay, yes, treat. And I usually stay on each one of these iterations 3 times before I go to the next one. The dog does it 3 times. So stay, yes, stay, yes. And now, if I want to, I can go to 2 distractions or 2 steps. Stay, yes. Now, when we're doing this, we can do this moving away in any direction. But the bulk of your practice, I want to actually be doing stay. Yes, we're going to walk to the door. Now, we're going to keep on doing this till we can walk all the way to the door this way, backwards. So my face is engaging with the dog, makes it a little easier. But then once I can make it all the way to the door, and she stays here, and I can come all the way back, then I would do it like this. Sit, stay, yes. So I'm going to turn, because normally we're not going to walk to the door backwards. So we're going to repeat the whole stay, walking all the way to the door. 1 step, and then you turn around 2 steps, 3 steps, 4 steps. Eventually you're going to walk all the way to the door, come back. Now the last stage for this particular exercise, and again, remember, when you get done, remember to release her into a, say you're off duty or whatever it is. Can you walk backwards that way and shoot me this way?
Yeah.
Just walk backwards in the hallway. I don't want to have you film directly here because it's going to be backlit. So when I actually get all the way here, opening the door is difficult. And you can film me a little bit just so I want to make sure. That's fine.
The light
right
here,
there.
I think it's this one.
Okay, there we go. So when I go thinking opening the door, and look who just arrived. Yes, you. So we just think of that as one motion of opening the door. But that's what we call a trigger for her. She's like, the door opening, I want to run and go jump up on people. So when I'm doing the stay, I'm going to put her in a stay. I'm going to walk all the way back here. When I can walk normally, stay, and I've walked all the way here. Then I'm going to go like this. Pull back, I'm gonna walk all the way back to her, say yes, and give her a treat. Then walk back again. Reach halfway, don't touch it. Go back to her. I'm trying to do this about 3 times in a row, with her staying there on the dog bed. Then eventually I would say, just make a little noise. If she stays put, we say yes and walk all the way back there. Go ahead and come on back, come forward a little bit. We have VIP a little bit forward. We don't want to let your VIP go ahead and pass by without, I don't think she wants to be on camera. There we go. All right, so eventually we want to make all these individual sounds, but we're not opening the door, and the dog is practicing staying there on the dog bed. Now, we also have a lock. Watch her. So as soon as she heard that, that's a trigger. That means the door's about to open. So we want to practice that as well. She's staying there. We come over here and we just jiggle a little bit. And then you can come back to me. Just jiggle a little bit and then walk all the way back to her and give her a door. This is a tedious process. Again, and for practice this, 1 or 2 minute practice sessions, always done on a positive. But eventually she's just like, you guys are weirdos. You go to the door and you futz around and you come back and give me a treat, but nobody comes in. So eventually I want to be able to unlock the door, open an inch, close it, then go all the way back to your retreat. And eventually I'm opening the door more and more and more. Eventually the door can open all the way and the dog is staying in the dog bed. Yes, I know. It's like I got to come in and give it a quick jump. So, but again, so eventually we want to get to the point where we can open the door, nobody's there, and she's staying on the dog bed. So we've taught her what we want her to do. Now we're making it more and more lifelike. Now, the last stage is, do you have a doorbell or people just knock? So, do you grab something?
No, yeah, that's fine.
Okay. So you see how excited she is right now with that knock of the door. So the way I would change that, come here, sit. And you could have somebody over there with her. And what I would do is, this is a little bit of a desensitization counter conditioning exercise. I would go like this. Sit. Where before this knock was causing her to bark, now we're making the knock what's called a precedent. Now, that's about as far as I want to knock. If I wanted, most people knock probably 2 knocks, so then I would go back to an easier one. So, and she's over there when you're doing this, because we want to practice on the dog. So now I will do with some dogs, while I go like this, I would have somebody over here touch her nose, I would go, and then they would lure her onto the dog bed. So when she hears this, it means go to the dog bed. And so I've got a lot of dogs where somebody rings the doorbell, the dog runs to the dog bed because that is the signal.
Yeah, the doorbell is the crazy one. Yeah.
Okay, so for the doorbell, what I would do is get, I don't know where your chime box is, it's not in this room.
It's that.
Yeah. So what I would do is have somebody put your phone up and record it on your phone. So you control, and you can do it here, but we can't control how intense it is. So if you play it on your phone on a Bluetooth speaker, especially if you do it at your place or somebody else's place, you play it at a low volume where she hears it but doesn't bark, and then ding dong. And then we turn it up a little bit, ding dong. Eventually it sounds like there is a ding dong going through your full bore speakers, and she's looking around like somebody give me a treat. Now we can do that one, this one of two ways. We can just desensitize, which is what I just described, or we can say ding dong, and then walk her over there with a treat, and then have her sit on it, say yes, and give her that, and then gradually, eventually get to the point where somebody's outside, they ding dong, and you lure her over there, and eventually they say ding dong, not say it, but they ding dong, and she goes to the dog bed. But through all these things, nobody's actually coming through the door during this practice. While you're doing this, I would put a tape over the button. Please text or call us. Do not knock or ring on the door, because every time she hears that, she runs in here. She's conditioning herself and practicing this. So we'd like to have somebody, you guys text somebody, then maybe you take her outside, and then the person comes in so they don't get to see her for this excitement. Mm-hmm. Now the last stage is we're going to put her, and I'm going to describe this all, I'm not going to actually do it, but we put her to stay. I walk all the way over here, I open the door, I go outside, close the door, she's over there, nobody's here, then I go ahead and open the door and walk all the way over there, say yes, and give her the treat. So she's in a stay. Now we're simulating the door opening and closing, but it's not a new guest. It's a person who's been practicing with her the whole time. She's not overexcited. And we're practicing now this element. Door open, people come in, I stay here, I get a treat. And eventually, when you go out the door, you wait 2 seconds before you open the door and come back in. 3 seconds, 5 seconds. When you go outside and wait 5 minutes and then open the door, come back in here, and she's staying there, then you're ready to, I would go outside the door, and then I would go ahead and walk all the way, open the door, walk all the way back over there. Or you have somebody on the outside, they knock, and you go over there and give her a treat.
Yeah.
So she starts to associate the knock at the door means this is a good time. Somebody's going to come in over here and give me a treat. And eventually we're going to go through opening the door at the same stages, but now we have somebody here. Now you can see in this door, there's a silhouette. I'm assuming there's a shadow here.
Yeah.
You can see that person. She can see that. So I would have somebody like 12 feet away outside the door. So she can feel a little bit of a silhouette. She looks, you say, yes, give her a treat. Looks, yes, give a treat. After 3 of those, have the person take 1 step closer, 1 step closer. So we're making it all the way. Eventually, there's a silhouette of somebody at the door, but there's no ding dong. There's no knocking the door. We're just getting used to the element of seeing somebody there and practice staying on our dog bed. Eventually, the person would come up and not knock. You know they're here. You walk, stay. We tell her to go there, go to her dog bed, stay, come over here, open the door a little bit, go back to her, give her a treat, and gradually open it more and more and more. Eventually, open it all the way. You invite your guest to come in, close the door, and then the guest stays here. You walk over there and give her a treat. And eventually, you get to be more and more lifelike when people come in. And they can kind of come in and walk a step in, but they walk maybe past the threshold where the camera was and she gets up. She's not ready for that. So then we have the person come in and they walk over here and then they stop and then somebody else gives her a treat. So we're teaching her just when they come in doesn't mean that you can get up off of the dog bed. Eventually they're stopping here. Eventually they're coming and sitting down right here. And she's staying there. The first 3 minutes or so of when a new guest comes over is when the dog is most excited, most likely to jump. So what we want to do is work up to the point where she can stay there for 3 minutes as guests come in. Now, when you have guests coming in, have them call or text you ahead of time. Practice this game eventually when you get to this final stage. So utilize people who are coming over and try to, again, make it an easy deal. That's my last little point. When you guys come or go, and I know the guardian who's filming this really likes it when he comes in and she's all jumping up on him, and that's okay, but I would maybe have her to stay, and then for what you like to do, release kisses or whatever it is. So you're giving the release and you're going, and if I take, and she's coming up to you. So we're putting the behavior on cue. When I say kisses, after releasing you, that means I want you to run up and jump on me. We're telling her what we want her to do. Right now, she's doing it when she wants to do, which is fine, unless it's a little child or somebody maybe has a mobility issue that doesn't want to have a dog jumping up on her. She's just doing it to show affection because she's confused. So if you put all the components for this video together, the dog learns staying on the dog bed when people come in gets me treats, and we're able to wait out that first 3 minutes of energy, and then when we release her, her energy is a little bit more relaxed. All right, well, this is my buddy Goldie, and these are some tips and secrets if you have a dog that likes to jump up on people at the door.
All right.